What's going on, everybody? I saw this video from Asmongolds. It's the Silent Hill 2 situation, and I wanted to react to it because Konami is making a Silent Hill 2. They're remaking it for the modern audience. And the thing is that every time that a game company says modern audience, it's kind of, I've started to understand that that phrase is just a phrase. They don't actually mean the modern audience, because every time that they make a game for the modern audience says, yeah, that's not what we're looking for. So I've come to understand that the modern audience phrase is something similar to when a certain political group says something is a threat to their democracy. What they really mean is it's a threat to the shit that they want to shove down your throat. And most people don't want the shit that's being shoved down their throat. They want to enjoy what they enjoy. If someone doesn't enjoy that, okay, cool. I hope you find what you like, because I found a little thing that I like. Most people, they want to go to work, pay rent, and put food on the table and shit like that. So when, some weirdo says, oh, such and such is a threat to our democracy, it's like we the people don't want your democracy, because what you want isn't democracy. A threat to our democracy. So this is George Carlin from, I guess, 1999. We'll check this out first, and then we'll react to Asmongold reacting to the orange-haired lady talking about Konami remaking Silent Hill 2 for a modern audience. Anyone that disagrees with the modern audience is a threat to our democracy.
So let's visit that playground of guilty white liberals, the land of the politically correct.
Man, shit really hasn't changed that much now, has it? Because it's like the guilty white liberals that are pushing political correctness on everybody. I have noticed that it is the online left who will use the term people of color, right? And it's very funny to hear someone say the phrase people of color, but then if you tell them, hey, you're just referring to people as colored people, and that's kind of racist, their heads explode. But people of color is just colored people with more words. It's like, stop referring to people as people of color. Stop being racist.
In recent years, the PC folks have found some new ways of shading the truth in order to make people feel better, especially minorities.
Yeah, that shit still, dude, it's fucking 25 years since he was talking about this, and it's still exactly the same. It's still true. There's a number of videos you can find online where someone will be interviewing liberals, and they'll be like, why do you think voting ID is racist? And they'll say, oh, well, because black folks can't get an ID. It's like, IDs they're free. You just go to the DMV and get one. Oh, they don't know how to get to the DMV. Bro, why is it that you think that black people can't figure out how to get to the DMV? Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, do you not realize how fucking dumb you sound right now? Like, I mean, unless you just don't have, like, a cell phone, like, I was going to say, you could just pull out your cell phone, pull up Google, where's my local DMV, right? And then you can, like, get an Uber or a taxi or just walk. Fucking, you can figure out a mode of transportation to get there, to get your free ID so that you can vote. But liberals, they cannot fucking process that. And they say the shit that they say, like, oh, well, black people can't get ID. It's like, dude, that sounds racist. It's like, stop. Shut up. Stop. Think about what you're saying. But they don't. They've heard it before, where I don't know. More than likely left-leaning media. A lot of people are very guilty of that. They will just echo the things that they've heard from the media that they consume.
One of the newer phrases making the rounds is happens to be. He happens to be black. I have a friend who happens to be black. Oh, I see. Yes. Like it's an accident, Happens to be black. Yes, he happens to be black. I see.
Yeah, see, this is back in, like, 1990. Dude, this is the wild thing. Because I was born in 1984. So, growing up, we were taught to not give a shit if someone was black, white, Spanish, Haitian, Asian. It literally just did not matter. It was all about, like, what's the energy that you bring to the table. So as a kid being in school, I cared about, do you have a Sega? Do you have a Sega Genesis, or do you have a Super Nintendo? That's what I cared about. Because if you had a Sega Genesis, I was like, yo, you got Mortal Kombat? Like, that's what I cared about. You know, or, yo, do you ride bikes? You know, do you play Mortal Kombat? Do you have a Sega Genesis? Do you ride bikes? Like, that was it. That's what I cared about, you know? And now, like, because the PC crowd has gone so far, and society has kind of, we've been going on a more, like, liberal route for such a long time now, and now people have just gotten more and more racist. And people are, like, digging their heels in because they don't realize that, like, one crowd is very much like, you will agree with what we're saying and how we feel, or we'll label you as some weird ist or phobe, or, you know, we'll just call you a Nazi or a bigot. But it's like, you're trying to force the way that you view the world on other people, and you don't agree, or you won't let someone disagree with you. You're being a bigot. We've just gone, like, so far in, like, one direction that now, like, people don't realize that they're being racist. There's a lot of people that, because the trend is to be supportive of Palestine right now, they will defend Palestinian actions. Well, the Palestinians are killing the Jewish people, being anti-Semitic. But it's the same crowd. If you're one of those super duper right-wingers, believe all Jews, they control Hollywood, they control all the entertainment section, they'll be like, oh, you're being anti-Semitic. It's like, okay, but you're being anti-Semitic because you're actually supporting literal murder of Jewish people. It's the same PC crowd that, and that they are now adults and they're working in the game industry, and it's all loops back to the modern audience, where the modern audience is just a phrase for people that agree with our political beliefs. This is an actual model from Silent Hill 2, the current remake. This is just a girl that I would work with at any job. If I went and got lunch, she might be the cashier. This is literally just a very typical looking girl. This is what Konami is trying to push out. And this is happening a lot in video games, where they're making these models that they look ugly. These character models look terrible. There is a certain crowd that will say, well, what does that matter? Well, when you're spending hours staring at your screen, playing a video game, you do want the thing that you're looking at to be visually attractive, right? That's why we have an emphasis on graphics. That's why a game, I'm now playing Ghost of Tsushima. That game is gorgeous, right? One of the biggest reasons why I like it is because it's a fucking beautiful game. A lot of the combat is very repetitive. The story is, you take it or leave it. It's not fantastic, but it's not terrible either. It's a very just average revenge plot, but it's beautiful. Absolutely fucking beautiful. But the thing is that the character models look good. And most people that play video games in America are white males. So when they see a female character, it behooves the developers to make the female character attractive, because people like to look at things that are attractive. That's why there's a discussion in modern art. A lot of modern art is really ugly, and so a lot of people don't like modern art. But more contemporary art is very beautiful, and people still hold it in high reverence because it's beautiful. And they're gonna touch on something. The character models for the nurses, they like really dumbed them down, and they made the character models like flat chested and all that. And it's really it's like they didn't get the point of the nurses, that was supposed to be the main characters. It was supposed to be like a representation of their lust, and it was supposed to have a little bit to do with like some of the events that they experienced. But it was supposed to be mostly like a visual representation of their lust. But now you're taking away the thing that like the main character would be lusting about. They clearly missed the point.
Konami has no idea what they're doing with the Silent Hill franchise every single time they release a new game, like the recent Ascension title. People
Just read this out. No one wants their favorite game to be adapted for modern audiences, and every time companies release soulless remakes and reboots, they're just proving our opinions don't matter to them. To remake something, then put a blooper team plus narrative consultation company on the job, you failed. And we're seeing that a lot with Sweet Baby Inc. Sweet Baby Inc. has made a lot of really dog shit games. And the reason why is because they cannot help themselves but to push their political views into video games. And there's a certain group that firmly believes that everything is inherently political. Escapism is not inherently political. You can play video games that are not political. Perfect example, wrestling video games. I'm a massive fan of wrestling video games. I love me some wrestling video games. There's not a single goddamn politic in wrestling video games. It's just two people wrestling each other, or two or more, I should say. Killing Floor. I love Killing Floor. It's just a wave of enemies, blast the enemies, go pick up the items so that you have more ammo and more health, and then another wave. And then every once in a while you go to the trader and you get a better gun, or you get some shields, get some grenades and stuff like that. And then when you're done, another wave. And then after like wave 10, boss fight. And it could be one of like a few different bosses. And then if you kill the boss, woohoo, you did it! And if you didn't, you suck. Left 4 Dead, inherently just not political at all. It's just a fucking, make it from point A to point B, survive zombie outbreak. They sell it to you as if it's zombie horror movie, you know, because there's like zombie horror movie tropes, and the communication between the survivors was like really funny. There's no politics in it, none whatsoever. Fucking people still play Left 4 Dead to this day.
Roasted, and of course they're coming out with the Silent Hill 2 remake that now we're hearing the devs have tried to preserve the authenticity with while adapting it for modern audiences.
If you're preserving the game but adapting it to modern audiences, that means you're not preserving it whatsoever.
But of course, every time they've released some kind of image or teaser, it's gotten roasted, and we just saw the new gameplay trailer launch because of the...
Yeah, I saw the trailer. Like, I'm not a big horror game fan, so I'm not that excited about it, to be honest.
And people are not happy with what they've seen, but of course they are trying their best to promote it to people, get more eyes on this project, and they really thought trying to market it to a modern audience would work, because
Konami's garbage ever since Kojima left. Someone else had said that it's just like, it looks like ass, and it kind of does. Like, they made the main character look like Leon from Resident Evil 2 if you ordered Leon from AliExpress. And not even like Leon from like Wish, from AliExpress. So it's like a dumb down of a dumb down of a dumb down.
They made this tweet, see how the Bloober team devs working on Silent Hill 2 preserved authenticity while adapting a horror classic for modern audiences. Whenever you see terms like modern audiences or, you know, current day standards, things like that, global audiences as well, instant red flags should be.
Yeah, what they're really saying is we're pandering to bots on social media.
Yeah, I agree with that. Anytime that I hear people say that, it's always they're changing it for a stupid reason.
And what's funny, it's like, because I just said, oh, they're, you know, for bots on social media. But the thing is that social media, YouTube, they're saying modern audiences as in what they're really meaning is people that agree with us. And people don't agree with them. And they're not accepting that. Because activists have started becoming game developers. There's an entire group of people who became game devs and game journalists and stuff like that. They thought that it would be a good idea to go into these fields because they thought they could make a lot of money, but they're not passionate about video games. They're not gamers themselves. Anita Sarkeesian from the very first Gamergate, she wasn't a video gamer, but she just wanted to like inject her thought process onto video games. But she didn't play video games. It wasn't until she started like a Kickstarter or whatever to raise a bunch of money so that she could start the feminist frequency that she actually started playing video games. So these people are just activists. But then you see that in companies too, like with the ESG scores shit, environmental social governance and diversity, equity, inclusion. They know that they will get funding from companies like BlackRock and Vanguard if they meet like certain criteria. And so, but the thing is they're not even hiring the most talented people that they could find. They just oh, we have to hire these group of people because we'll get loans from this company so that we can expand our business. Okay, but you're making a dog shit product. Like, that's all well and good that you're going to get a loan, but, like, you're turning out a shitty product because you're not hiring the most talented people. And so the product that you come out with is total dog shit, and then a few years go by and you're filing for bankruptcy because you didn't make a good product. And now you're you know, if you're a game dev, your studio is being closed because you can't turn out a good product. It's really wild that in 2024, the regular normie fucking audience has to scream at the top of their head, just make good shit. Otherwise, you will go out of business. But I personally know a few people that they ran their own business and they ran it into the fucking ground. And the only reason why they even had a business is because they were dating somebody who had money, or their family gave them a bunch of money. And so they ran a business and then ran it right into the fucking ground because they could not fathom the idea that, hey, maybe I'm charging like way too fucking much. And for one of the businesses, that's exactly what it was. They were refurbishing furniture, but then they were charging exorbitant prices. And they had posted it on their social media. If they had 10 customers, like 7 of them were fucking rude to them. It's like, yeah, because you're charging like $2,000 for a coffee table in the middle of fucking this really small town in New York that cannot afford to spend $2,000 on a coffee table. You want a month's worth of rent without utilities for a coffee table.
Yeah, I agree. Modern audiences, get the fuck out of here.
Because these are not the words of a company.
By the way, like, what's the logic here? It's like, so the game was popular and you're remaking the game, but you're making it for modern audiences. Well, wouldn't people want to buy the game because it wasn't for modern audiences? Like, what's the logic? I don't understand that.
Yeah, there is no fucking logic. It should be for the audience that played it 20 years ago, whenever Silent Hill came out. Like, all you have to do in order to remake the game, right? And notice, because Konami's doing this with Silent Hill 2, but you notice how you haven't heard about them making Metal Gear Solid 3 Delta for a modern audience? No, they're literally just gonna well, as far as I know, they're just gonna remake Metal Gear Solid 3, but with the Fox engine, and that's it. And like, that's what we want, honestly. Just like really great controls, really fantastic graphics, like a modern kind of set of graphics. You know, don't change like the character models any, just like, you know, amazing graphics. And then like really good frame rate, just make it look beautiful. But then give us like, you could literally use the exact audio files from the first game and use the same dialogue, like literally everything the same, but just like put it into the Fox engine, charge 60 or, you know, $59.99, $69.99 or whatever, and it'll be gangbusters. I'm telling you right now, it will be a home run. Again, I have not heard a single drop of you know, oh, we're making Metal Gear Solid 3 for a modern audience. All I've heard about is we're remaking Metal Gear Solid 3 and basically putting it into the Fox engine, which is like, yeah, do that. Can you do it for Metal Gear Solid 1 and 2 as well? Because that'd be really cool. And maybe Peace Walker, you know? Mm-hmm.
Who is trying to actually preserve authenticity.
Yeah. Actually, fuck it, definitely Peace Walker.
With a remake.
Peace Walker's the shit.
People want the original product, just with, you know, new graphics, updated gameplay, and, you know, things like better music, higher quality in general, and of course...
Yeah, exactly. Just, like, higher quality stuff. Like, keep the gameplay mechanics, but, like, update them a little bit. Really great graphics, high quality music, high quality, like, voice acting. That's it. Don't change the story at all. I mean, you could just have the voice actors record lines exactly as they were from Silent Hill 2. Just do it line by line, like exactly as it was. Try to get them to do the voice acting almost exactly like it was in Silent Hill 2. I guarantee you it'll sell like gangbusters and people will love it.
course, throughout this little, snippet they released on their social media,
RE4 did a good job with keeping the integrity of the original. Listen, I played the shit out of Resident Evil 4, and when I played RE4 Remake, I felt like I was playing a totally different game. But it's not like I played the original Resident Evil 4 and then installed and played the Resident Evil 4 Remake. When I played Resident Evil 2 Remake, I definitely felt like I was playing Resident Evil 2. I definitely felt like I was playing Resident Evil 2. Just like a way more modern version of it. It was scary too. That game still freaks me out a little bit. I'm not gonna lie.
they do talk about, modernizing, gameplay elements, which of course could be decent if they are trying.
Well, here's a good example of modernizing gameplay elements is Final Fantasy VII, right? The remake of that had action combat when the original game didn't. That's clearly what people want. Like, whenever you want to talk about modernizing, that's what people want to see. They don't want to see them, like, changing the way a character looks because somebody on the developer team is offended over it. Like, what the fuck? Nobody cares about that.
Again, stay in the same vein as the original, but they're also talking about the gameplay being changed to make it competitive in 2024 while they show clips of, like, James running around and simply walking. Half of the gameplay that they show within this is walking, which, yes, to a certain extent is going to be
okay, she's just going to talk about it. I want to listen to it myself.
Yeah, I was going to say, she's just going to talk. Because a lot of these YouTubers, including me, I do the same shit when I record a video once a year. I just like hearing myself talk. And so does most YouTubers. They just like hearing themselves talk.
I missed it? Yeah, I'm done.
I'm very excited for people to play this game. There's no one aspect that I could say that I want people to experience, because I want people to experience all of it.
If she was actually excited, she would be like, "Oh, I cannot wait for you to see the graphics," or "I cannot wait for you to see this one scene," or "I can't wait for you to the game mechanics." Guys, we really refined the game mechanics. This game feels so smooth. Oh my god! When you get to play this game at 144 hertz, or if you get to play at 250 frames per second, guys, this game is gonna be it's so good. Like, she doesn't have anything specific that comes to mind. I'm a musician. You guys have seen, I write a bunch of songs. At some point, I'm going to be coming out with an album. And I've got a singer. Him and we're going to record 2 songs. And then we're going to use those as teasers, basically, to generate interest and see if people want to join and start a band. And then, like, I already know that I cannot wait for you guys to hear, like, some of the crazy riffing, but then the melody that we're going to hit you with as well. Like, it's going to be heavy, and there's going to be a lot of breakdowns and stuff for people to like, mosh and two-step to. And there's definitely some more, like, ironic kind of two-step, like Southern two-step. There's certain riffs that are, like, cheesy, but they're cheesy on purpose. So it's, like, ironic cheese. I can't wait for you guys to hear that. See, right out of the gate, I already know, like, hey, I can't wait for you guys to hear the melody. I can't wait for you, to hear the heavy stuff, so that, you could do mosh and two-step and, be active live. But I can't wait for you guys to hear this melody, because we're going to be bringing the heavy, but with the melody. And personally, I feel like heavy with melody has kind of been lost. But she didn't have anything specific, because she's not excited about it. Because it's just a thing that she worked on. Because she thought that she was going to make a lot of money working in video games. And so that's the thing that she did.
It's such a journey. It's such a big part of our lives. And I just want people to be able to.
It's such a journey. Well, what is the part of the journey that has you excited? Like, is there a specific level? Because, like, when I was playing Metal Gear Solid 3, that fight with the end, that sniper battle, that was insane. I remember I had played the game a bunch of times, but then I would come up to the fight with the end, and, like, I wouldn't remember the strategies or anything like that. So I would be playing the fight for 2 hours and, like, not getting anywhere. And then, like, I remembered I had discovered the time glitch, where if you set the time on the PlayStation 2 weeks ahead, the end dies of old age. Like, little things like that. Like, I love that. A Metal Gear Solid 1. Oh, when you meet Psycho Mantis and he reads your memory card, and then he tells you to put the controller on the floor, and he moves the controller. Like, if you're excited about something, there's gonna be something that comes to mind. That you're immediately like, oh, you gotta check this out. I cannot wait for you to get to this part. Oh my god, I can't wait for you to get there. Like, something's gonna pop in your head. But if nothing pops in your head, it means you're not passionate about the project. It means you don't have anything. It means it's just a thing you did.
See it.
I think the biggest change that we've had was actually how to make the game approachable for the newcomers who have not played the original.
Just remake the original, just with higher graphics and the sound. That's it. That's all you gotta do.
But at the same
Which is totally fine.
time to still retain the familiarity of the game that player
So far, we've just seen James walking.
remembers from 20 years ago.
Our goal from the very beginning was to maintain the game's atmosphere while modernizing the gameplay to make it competitive in 2024.
So just remake the game with good graphics and it'll be competitive. That's it. That's all you gotta do. And these people are quote-unquote game devs and they can't figure that out. Dude, just up the graphics. That's it. And good sound design. And make sure, like, the controller, your inputs work. That's it. That's all you gotta do.
I think there's a very big risk of doing that, and I think that Final Fantasy VII does it the best way. And I haven't played it. I've watched a lot of content about it, but I haven't played it myself. But if you choose, you can play the game just like it used to be. I think whenever you fundamentally change gameplay and you change the way that the game works, then it's very different.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had Final Fantasy VII Remake gameplay.
Yeah, because if you play Resident Evil 2, the original, and then you play the Resident Evil 2 remake, it's a totally different game. And I think the reason why the remake worked is because they essentially took Resident Evil 7 and they basically took Resident Evil 2 and then shoved it through a Resident Evil 7 and filter, and then what we got was the Resident Evil 2 remake, which is fucking fantastic. They used all the same... or all similar, like, gameplay mechanics, except, it's not first person, it's third person. But, like, the shooting felt similar, the running felt similar, like, everything felt similar, the graphics were fantastic. It does feel like a totally different game. But it's still good. It's still really good. I'll play Resident Evil 2 right now, I don't give a fuck. That game's been out for a while. I'll play it right now.
Yeah, that's what I understand.
I'll also play the original Resident Evil 2 right now. Will.
In the remake, the story is largely the same.
They're still just showing James walking, by the way.
However, with the magic of modern technology, we're able to expand on some of its aspects.
The hardest was designing combat. We want to be as faithful as possible to the original game, but also we want players to feel satisfaction while playing, remembering that we need to fit in horror genre standards.
Not for nothing, but that looked like Resident Evil. If they don't put a bunch of bullshit ideology in the game, if they serve me Silent Hill 2 with oh my god graphics, I'll like it. I'll be all about it. And again, this is coming from somebody who didn't play the original Silent Hills. Like, Resident Evil was my jam. I tried Silent Hill 1. I was like, this is not for me. It was too janky.
Like, whose standards, right? Where are you inventing these standards? Because a lot of games, for example, set their own standard.
By standard, all they're saying is what sells well. They want to make a game that sells well. That shouldn't be difficult to figure out.
And if you're playing a new an old version of the game, the way that I would want to have a game like this designed would be like, think about how would you imagine this game to be, like, how did you imagine this game played whenever you were like 15 playing it or 12 playing this game?
I mean, all you have to do is go back and play the game. That's how it played. I've noticed a lot of people, when they talk about wrestling video games, they will say, WWF No Mercy is the best wrestling game that's ever been created, or WCW NWO Revenge was the best. No, it wasn't. Not even remotely. I know that like those games might have sold better than the current WWE 2K wrestling games, but the current WWE 2K wrestling games, when they work, are objectively way better. Better graphics, better gameplay. Literally everything is better. And because of community creations, you could download any wrestler that you want of any era, as long as someone else put the time and effort into creating them. You can do that. And on PC, because you can mod in like your own theme music, you could have like a 1-for-1 of whatever you want, thanks to modding and community creations. Excuse me. Like, and it's not hard to mod in your own music. Hell, if you're a musician, you could create your own theme music. You could swap out the entire soundtrack from that game with the music you wrote yesterday, if you want to. Because the modding and the 2K devs, like, there's a certain audio file that they use that works like perfectly with Sound Editor, which is one of the tools that you could use to edit in and out audio. So like if you want, you know, let's say they can't use Jimi Hendrix's Voodoo Child for Hollywood Hulk Hogan's entrance because of they have to get the rights to the music. So they always have Rock House, the NWO theme. If you want the Jimi Hendrix version of Hulk Hogan's entrance, all you gotta do is download Voodoo Child and then, you know, maybe edit it a little bit in like a DAW so that like it lines up. But like you don't even have to do that. You could just download the friggin' song and then edit it into the game, and then boom, you got Hollywood Hulk Hogan coming out to Jimi Hendrix. And not for nothing, but the reason why I say that, on top of like better graphics, better gameplay, the community creations, the on PC, the ability to mod the game, is if you go back and you play No Mercy, you play WCW, NWA Revenge, they're just match simulators. That's all they are. No Mercy had like a little bit of a storyline, and it was like branching, and it was like, okay, if you win match, you go down here. If you lose a match, you go down here. But like there really wasn't that much of a story. But like the 2K games now, they have My Rise, and like the story is meh, you know, but at least there's a story there. But there was no season mode or anything like that back then. Now there is. And you could have your a totally custom season. You could start your own wrestling organization, have any wrestler you want, any theme music that you want if you're playing on PC, and you can mod into audio files. Like, don't tell me No Mercy's better than that. It's not. Like, any way, shape, or form.
So when making a game with static cameras, you as a designer have much more control over what players sees, where they go, and so on. The change for the third-person perspective was a challenge. That being said, it's a chance for us to expand this world, to show the players new elements that were previously inaccessible, and just make this game richer.
So the main thing that requires rethinking was the fog, because it was called classic in the original game, and it's a veil that covers the world and makes the player to feel even more isolated.
New technologies gives us a chance to do things that were not possible during the earlier generations of video games.
Yeah, back in the day, they used the fog because they couldn't have like a very like far render draw distance. So they used fog so that they only had to like render like what was essentially immediately around James, and then the fog was just like a cover. And you could see that if you use an emulator and like you use certain settings so that you get rid of that fog, like you could see there's stuff that's like there's nothing rendered past the fog, or like, you know, maybe there is some stuff that's like rendered past the fog, but it's of such small detail that it looks terrible.
For narrative, this is very visible in facial expressions. We can tell so much.
Look how bad those character models look. Look how bad James looks. I don't even know who this is. I mean, that's because I didn't play Silent Hill 2. But, like, this is supposed to be James. This looks like Asmongolds' handsome brother.
Through just the subtle changes on characters' faces.
The presented gameplay footage shows
Yeah, the characters do look ugly and weird for sure. They definitely do, and like you don't. It doesn't have to be like that. Like Final Fantasy 16 wasn't like that.
Fragment of the city from the beginning of the game, and sections in.
I mean, it kind of looks like James, but it also like really doesn't. It doesn't look like James. It looks like Leon. It looks like AliExpress Leon.
Brookhaven Hospital.
Elden Rings are going to have walking elements, but you don't see From Software showing that walking in their trailers. They're showing.
They do have walking, but it's like 5 seconds or 10 seconds.
Yeah. When they want to show you the graphical fidelity, they'll like show someone walking, and then they'll do like the pan around, so you can see like everything that's around them, so you can show off like the beautiful graphics and all that.
There's 3 minutes.
And boss fights and really, really cool elements that are going to bring people in. And then, of course, they talk about modernizing designs, which I have shown off already in another video, and people have been brutal when it comes to these changes. They have seemingly, you know, shrunk the chest sizes of the nurses. We have poor Angela being...
Yeah, I talked about that earlier. They shrunk the chest sizes on the nurses, but the nurses are supposed to be like the physical embodiment of the main character's lust. Like, most men like girls with big boobies.
Changed Marie being altered.
Especially nurses with big boobies.
Instead of having, you know, her stomach area showing and a little bit of cleavage, she's in a full black dress. They just got extremely lazy with the...
It's not even that they're lazy, it's just they don't want to like sexualize the characters. Maybe they did get lazy. I don't know. I can't imagine it's difficult to like, because now you have character creators and you can make characters with like big boobs and, you know, it's not like it's like difficult. That's just like it's just that forcing their viewpoint onto our escapism, and it's not going to sell well unless they do like a total 180. Because further on down in the video, let's see, they should. Oh yeah, it's like right here. Like, look, massive dude. Silent Hill 2 is getting ratioed to death, and like This is what's gonna happen. You know, we're gonna circle all the way back around to the beginning of the video. Modern audiences. It's not for modern audiences. That is a phrase that they're using, much like threat to our democracy. And all they really mean is, by modern audience, is the people that agree with them on their politics and their viewpoint of the world. And, you know, so when the overwhelming majority of gamers don't want to play the game, or don't like the game, or don't buy the game, the devs can then say, oh, well, the game's not for you. It's like, you made a game, and you're saying that the game wasn't for gamers. Huh? It's like making an automobile, but then like failing to make a functional automobile, and then saying, oh, it's not for you car drivers. It's not for you. It's like, no, you just made a shitty product, and you're just like, refusing to accept the fact that you made a shitty product. From the political correctness to being called an ist and phobe and ism, it's just, there's a certain group of activists that they absolutely have to get you to agree with their worldview and their politics, and they're going to inject their bullshit into every tiny little thing. And all we have to do as us gamers, as us consumers, all we have to do is say, nah, I'm not buying your shit. And then what ends up happening is their studio gets shut down. And then they don't get to work in that field anymore. But then someone else can come along and be like, hey, look, we made this cute little zombie game, and you get to run around and shoot the zombies. And then you pick up the controller and be like, holy shit, this is good. This is fun. You know what? I like this. You're getting my money. And then, boom, we get good games again. All right, that is my long-winded way of saying, if someone is trying to push their bullshit down your throat, tell them to suck it. All right? Have a good day.